Welcome to episode 54 of Chat with the Chair. I'm Caryl Coronis, CFMA's 2024 chair, and it's my pleasure to introduce everyone here to next year's chair, which will be the 2025-26 chair, Jennifer Murphy. Jennifer, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and how you ended up in CFMA?
Sure, I'd love to. So welcome and thank you, Carol. I'm honored to be in this role, and it's amazing to follow leaders like yourself into this. And so I'm Jennifer Murphy. I'm the CFO at Plume Service Company. We are a commercial mechanical contractor based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I've been with the company just over 15 years now. Joined CFMA in 2006 and joined this company in 2009. So, and looking forward to this journey.
I know your entry into CFMA is very common for a lot of us, and that is wanting some education and more. What is this percentage of completion accounting about anyway? So tell us about your finding at CFMA.
Well, so I started out after college. I went to large global manufacturing companies and had worked at all in the manufacturing side of the world. And I got to 2006 and the company I was at. My position was to keep it. I had to move, and I wasn't willing to move at the time. And so I was unemployed and I got a job at a general contractor. Didn't really know there was a difference. It was just a controller position at general contractor. And I went in, and after about 6 weeks of looking at jobs and trying to understand what a WIP and a percent complete and all of that was, and I think I have it figured out, and the CFO would start telling me how I was wrong on what the margin on this job was going to be. And I went to one of the owners and I said, maybe I made the wrong decision and I shouldn't be here. And he said, have you ever heard of CFMA? And I had not. And so I joined. And really it was to get the education. I don't think that the time I went to college, if they covered it, it was pretty basic. And I had long forgotten it. So, I joined CFMA just to start helping me understand what in the world I was trying to do at my day job.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing. It really hits me like every time I talk to someone who is in accounting, who is not in the construction industry. It's like, the world is just so different. So glad that CFMA was able to clarify that for you as it was for me. That's so important. So what was the next step after you went to CFMA and learned a little bit about that?
Yep. So I the GC I was at did not survive the 08, 09 economic downturn, and we closed our doors right before 4th of July in 2009, and I took what I called a sabbatical. I had been working full time before I graduated college, and had still been working full time, so I thought here was my chance. And so I took July and August and September, and I had a lot of teacher friends and spent a lot of time golfing and doing anything but thinking about going back to work.
Hmm.
And then it ended up that when I decided I was ready to get back in after a few months, the CPA firm that we used at our GC, who she actually was the chair of our membership committee at our local chapter. Also, another one of their clients happened to be looking for a CFO, and she thought I'd be the great fit, and she introduced me to the management team, and here I am 15 years later. So that was kind of how I ended up staying with CFMA, staying in construction. It was that connection. Yes, she was our CPA, but I also got to know her, and she was the membership chair, and so she was very active in our local chapter. And then where I'm at now, I joined this Plume where I'm at, and my president's very, very big in us being involved in the industry from any levels. We have employees in NAWIC, we're in ASA, we're ABC members. We have members that have sat on the boards of all the chapters of our ABC in the state, ASA. Our president's on chamber board of directors. So we just very much that we stay involved in the industry and what's going on. And so initially when I joined Flume, I joined the ASA program committee. Still was attending some CFMA meetings, but then started to meet people that were ASA members and CFMA members. And as I got to know a few more people, started doing a few more CFMA events. I got asked to join the West Michigan board, ended up going through and serving as president. And when that ended, I got approached to start getting involved nationally. And so from there, it kind of went from subspecialty and conference programming, and then became a mentee candidate. And after that, I we helped found the Great Lakes, CFMA's Great Lakes Regional, which we'll be having our third one in September of this year. We had our first one was supposed to be in 2020 and it got delayed with COVID. Our first one was supposed to be 2021 and it still was delayed in COVID. And so even though we started working on a long time ago, we will only be having our third one here in 2025. So, and then from there, it's been to the exec committee and now as an officer. So it's just something I never set out to do, but it just has kept moving along.
Wow, that's amazing. You've talked about the connections of CFMA, which are so powerful, the education, which is second to none in this industry. And the other thing that you've had is some mentorship and some really prodding along the way, offering of opportunities that you took. And the founding the Great Lakes Regional is huge. Again, our paths were similar in that way. I was instrumental in reviving the Lone Star Conference, getting involved on the chapter level, the regional level, then going to national. So some of the things that you've told me about in your chapter that I thought have been so powerful, one of them was the roundtables that you guys
Mhm.
have. Can you tell us a little about that? I think this is a fascinating way to get people connected.
Yeah, our Western Michigan chapter will be celebrating our 35th anniversary here in May. But ever since I joined, and so I probably started in 2009 or 2010. I joined the chapter in '06. We have what we call roundtables. And so obviously CFMA National has we have their peer groups. Um, but our roundtables in West Michigan, I mean, when I was chapter president, we were about 110 members. We're at about 140 now. But every year we have 6 to 9 roundtables that are anywhere from 8, usually 7 to 8 people, maybe 9. Um, and what we do is we try to make each roundtable up of not competitors. So, for example, my roundtable has an electrical, fire suppression, a mechanical, 2 GCs, but they're in very, very different. And we always check that they don't compete. A CPA, an attorney, an insurance. So we have a concrete. So we have none of us compete with one another. Um, and then when we sign up, you can pick a breakfast, a lunch, or a happy hour, and you try to get paired up. And so once that roundtable's set, we meet once a month, and everyone takes a chance to host. You can pick where it's hosted. It could be your office, it could be a restaurant, it could be wherever, and you take care of the food and the beverage, and then you get to pick the topic you talk about. And so most of us usually are talking about something we're struggling with at our company, or how are you handling this? And um, we sign confidentiality, and so we meet once a month starting in October all the way through May. And then our group, I mean, some of my group, we've been together since we started the breakfast group in 9 or 10, and here we are now, we're the happy hour group in 25. And so we're so close. We call each other and email each other even when we don't meet. Hey, how are you handling this? Can you give me a copy of your policy of this? How do you do that? And we're all right here in West Michigan. And so we have a number of members I've never seen at a general membership meeting, but yet they've been in roundtables for years. So to them, kind of as we hear at the national level, that peer groups are so vital to some of our members, and they think it's our most valuable offering. We have members at our local chapter that think the same thing. And so it's just been, for me, it's been amazing. And we always joke our group is the OGs of roundtables. Everyone wants in it because we're a happy hour. And I think we have 6 of our past chapter presidents in our roundtable. So We're kind of a tight knit group. We've all helped probably been on the board together or served together along with this. So I mean, I don't make as much locally anymore as I used to being involved in this, but that's the one thing we try to schedule around that I don't miss even with all my travels is our local roundtable.
So for anybody with a chapter who might be interested in this, how much lifting does the chapter itself have to do?
Really, what our role in every chapter is different, but our bylaws, we have a past president, and that's one of the past president's roles is to send out the survey, and everyone fills out, what size company they are, what their industry is. And as I said, a lot of us have been together in some roundtables, no one leaves and it's very easy. And some you have some moving parts, but really it's gathering that information and putting the roundtables together. And if you have a couple of years ago, we had a couple of electrical contractors in our roundtable, but again, we reached out to them. They both said, we don't compete. We're fine. And so really the lift is initially getting it set up. And then each roundtable has a facilitator. You can sign up to have a roundtable where you earn CPE. The facilitator in that roundtable then has to have a set agenda and notes and things to qualify for the CPE. Our group chooses not to, but all the facilitator then does is make sure we all sign up for one. He gets all the dates. We all pick a date. We send out the calendar invites, and the week of that meeting, he'll remind us it's your week to host. Let us know where we're meeting and what the topic is, and so it's not a heavy lift.
Oh, it sounds like a great thing to bring chapter members together, chapter leaders
Mm-hmm.
together, and also to talk about those things that you want to talk about that
Mm-hmm.
each of you can help each other with. So
Yep.
I'm thinking some other chapters will definitely be interested in that. They'll probably be reaching out to you or whoever you ask us to reach out
Yep.
to. The next thing that I know on your CFMA journey was getting your CCIFP designation and credentials. So tell us about that journey.
Well, as you know, as I had mentioned, I was in private manufacturing initially, and so really my road, you think of my conference theme, finding endless possibilities. I went into accounting because numbers came easy to me, and I just was going to do it for a couple of years. I mean, my grandiose plan was to come out, work in public accounting for a couple of years, get my CPA, and I was going back to law school to be a, a prosecuting attorney and a judge, and here I sit. So, but so I didn't get my CPA. I went to private accounting, went to manufacturing out of college, and then I never got my CMA. And and I just manufacturing accounting was okay, but when I got into construction, and once my original owner convinced me to join CFMA, and that I actually did understand it, knew what I was doing, and I stuck with it, and now um, as where I'm at currently, and I got so involved. I knew this was the industry I'm going to retire from. I knew, the connections through CFMA, the people I met, the just for me, the size of our company, I get to wear lots of different hats. We're an ESOP, so I'm the ESOP trustee. I oversee our banks, our bonding, our insurance renewals. I'm one of the three officers of the company, so I read contracts. So I do get to do a little lawyer stuff that I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And I do all that, and I'm like, I love it. I love it. I'm not a sit still person. I want to be involved. I love the operation side of the business. And so as time went on, I was like, I kept hearing about the CCIP, and we talked about it. And for me, it was, I need to do this to prove I know all facets of the business I'm putting my fingers in. Um, and this is where I'm gonna, I'm finally setting my feet down and staying, I think, until I retire. And so for me, is getting that designation that I had passed up in other things, because those didn't end up being the right path for me.
So, how did you go about studying for the CCIFP exam? And when did you finally, was there like a decision point where you said, I'm going to do this?
Yep, yep. So I finished I was our chapter president 16, 17. And once I got done with that, I said, okay, I got to start, really getting serious about this, because I had told National I wouldn't get involved nationally until I was done with my local my local stuff. And again, our chapter doesn't work for all chapters, but we chose to have a CCIFP day as far as like a study or a prep day. And so what our chapter did was use our STAR funds to buy the CCIP study guide for any attendees. We lined up the people to train or teach the different sections throughout the day. We were blessed in West Michigan. We had a lot of great associate members. So we had associate members that were able to teach the various sections of the study prep. And we used one of the some members like training room for the day, and every person had to pay, like I had to pay $100, but I got the study guide and I got 8 hours of the whole prep guide or training class all in one day. And I think there were 8 of us that did it. And then we had each other to kind of hold each other accountable. So I took that class, and I was like, okay, I've done it. And you've gone this far. And so I applied. And the thing is, when you apply, then you have so long to take it. So it was like, okay, there's no getting that back out now. So we're at 10/31 year end. And so I studied most of December and January, and I took my exam in February of 2018. So that was kind of how I decided to do it.
So do you think that having that designation has helped you in your career?
I was CFO already, so in that way, maybe not necessarily, oh, I got a different title or pay. I will tell you though, I think when you have conversations, if you're partnering with the right partners. So our bonding agency understands what a CCIP is. And so when I send my WIP and my financials, they know they're accurate. I talk directly to my underwriter for my bonding, and he and I talk about my WIP, and he's a CFMA member and he knows what CCIP is. Um, our our CPA firm has a number of CCIPs, and we use a local regional firm, and they still have a number of CCIPs. They're very involved in CFMA. So when they come on site again, they know what they're getting, and they also know they're going to get transparency. And I'm going to be the one that calls them before they get the WIP to say, well, we got a job that is going really south, but they know I'm conservative. They know how I'm handling the books. And so I think that um, to say that designation exactly is doing things, that you could go, yes, for sure. But I also think that it's recognized and they realize that I know what I'm doing when it comes to WIP and the financials around a construction company.
Yeah, very good. I know that again, you're talking about some CFMA connections and those people who really know what a
Mhm.
CCIFP is. And I know there's also a good amount of personal satisfaction that you coming not from construction and learning about construction and being able to pass the exam with all of the
Mhm.
different things that you have to know. So congratulations on that. I know it was a
And I
time,
think
long
one
time
more,
ago, but still.
yeah. And I think one more point with that too, that all of us can get a little bit complacent in that we know our jobs, and a lot of us are construction companies. We're really successful, and but we do a lot of the same thing over and over again. We've been in business 50 years. We're good at what we do. Um, and if I didn't have my CCIP, would I be as cognizant about taking CPE and keeping up to date on stuff? And so I think another thing with the CCIP, it helps make sure I'm staying relevant on what's going on in the industry because I have to take CPE to keep it. So I think that is another, benefit that probably isn't even always thought of that way.
And that's another way that that CFMA is very helpful, is offering that CPE. So, it sounds like you've just done so much through CFMA. Your journey was long, but can you tell us about some of the things you do outside of CFMA and outside of your work?
Sure. As I mentioned, I'm active. I'm not a sit around kind of person. I grew up. My grandpa I was with him a lot, and he always said, if you didn't catch it, kill it, or grow it, we didn't eat it. So I love when I travel to charter a boat and fish. So I love doing fishing. It's funny, I don't love to fish as much on an inland lake or a river as that, and that's what I grew up doing. Now I much rather be out on the ocean, reeling in something big. I love to garden. I start my seeds. I'm in Michigan, so that means the seeds, if you want them to be ready to go in the ground and not buy plants already in around Memorial Day when we can usually start planting because the last frost has come. I start seeds in the house in February in little greenhouses with LEDs, lights to go. My grandpa was a carpenter, and so I still, if I can find a way to drag out saws and drills and build or fix something, I like to tinker around. I've replaced garbage disposals and faucets and light fixtures and
Mhm.
GFI outlets and just stuff that totally gets me away from sitting in front of a computer screen. And then I love golf, whether it's watching. I've traveled to watch a lot. Golf in a golf league. We try to golf when we travel. Um, I'm an all around sports, not big Notre Dame football fan. So I've been in Ireland to see them play. That year they went undefeated and went to the national championship game. So I went to Miami to watch them get demolished by Alabama. Um, I've
Wow.
I've been to South Bend a number of times. I've seen the Lions. Now, actually, it's worked out with CFMA. I've actually gotten to see the Lions play not only in Michigan, but in Arizona and Kansas City and some other places. So I just generally like to keep going. And I'm just the, we talk about the connections and, um, I find energy in my family and friends and spending time with them, doing things we enjoy. So that's and I do read when I get a chance, but it's usually when I'm laying in bed and I can get a chapter or two before I fall asleep. So,
So what about any music that you like or anything that you're binge watching right now?
okay, let's see. Um, music is probably a little of everything. My mom, I grew up, my mom was a Leonard Skinner, Eagles, Steve Miller band, and so I always was listening to that kind of music. And my mother and I actually went to an AC/DC concert together, so she enjoyed. Um, and then I've been to a lot of country concerts, but I've gotten to see some of the what I would call the classics. I've seen Elton John and Cher and Tina Turner. So I just enjoy music of most sorts. And as far as binge watching, um, just like my reading, I tend to like to read mystery, crime, medical type drama, or fiction. I watched the Chicago Med Fire PD series, but my binge right now is a series called Yellow Jackets, which is about a women's girls soccer team that crashed in the wilderness, and so I'm binging that now. My flying for CFMA, I've been binging on planes on my iPad, and so I just downloaded the next season so I can binge it on my next travels.
Ah, nice, nice. And I know you told me about a great adventure that you had going to see Pink.
Yes, and I didn't mention my music because to me it was more than a concert. So I had lots of people had seen her, friends of mine, and I was like, yeah, it's okay. I like her music. Well, a couple of years ago, 12 of us from Michigan, because why would we stay in Michigan? We flew down to Nashville and spent a weekend in Nashville to see her. And after I saw a concert of hers and saw her swinging around, I was like, it was beyond a concert. It was like an entertainment.
Mhm.
Um, so the following year, six of us again. This time we went to Soldier Field, and both years she was in Michigan, but we traveled to Nashville, then we traveled to Chicago. So we turned them into weekend girls trips along with seeing Pink. Just to watch. I mean, her athleticism and the singing while you're flying around upside down. It was amazing.
Wow, wow. I know you guys had a great time and several of them were CFMA people. So again, more connections, just
Yeah.
love it. So we're all getting really excited about the upcoming conference in Kissimmee this year and wanted to ask you, I know we're excited about hearing your speech and your vision for your upcoming chair year. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're looking forward to most in this chairs year?
For me, it's really continuing to push the organization forward. We have amazing, amazing foundation from our education, our peer groups, a lot of things that draw so many of our members in. But what I really want to make sure is we're continuing to keep our organization relevant for the incoming new members, that we're a welcoming organization, that we are finding ways to, give back in the community and feel like we're doing more than just, the education. And I think for a lot of us, as we all talk about our connections, we came to CFMA for the education and we ended up with lifelong friends and resources across the country that you can call for any question you're having in your job, or how many of us use the same software that you can pick it up and go, have you guys figured out how to do this? And so I think for me, I really want to focus on once we get these new members, how we can quickly integrate them to understanding that CFMA is so much more than just the education, and that the network, the connections, um, and through the things that are important to people, from the, we talk about our giving back to our next gen, to our inclusion, to just being a welcoming organization for everyone and where everyone comes from and where everyone's at. And then my other really big one is the CCIFP. It is now fully integrated into CFMA, and we need to continue figuring out and pushing it to be recognized. As I mentioned, how because I use a bonding company that understands CCIP or CFMA, but how do we get where bonding companies and CPA firms want their clients to have CCIPs that are producing their books? And how do we, as clients, want to put in our RFP before I hire a new CPA or a new bonding company, that I want the people working on my account to have that and understand it? And so I think that's where we need to keep moving CCIFP, is the industry has to recognize it. We want owners to be asking, people they look to hire, or understanding how important having their staff have that designation, or even just being involved in CFMA, how important that is to them. So that's really, for me, our foundation's amazing, but we've got to keep pushing how relevant and needed we are in the industry, and how needed the organization and the CCIP is in the industry.
Now, you mentioned earlier how supportive the ownership and upper management of your company is in terms of
Mm-hmm.
supporting you, your CPA, CFMA involvement, and you just can't really do it without that. So that's important, and getting the importance of CFMA and CCIFP out there more recognized will only help all of us. So
Yeah.
I love those things you're going to be concentrating on. Are there any last words you'd like to say before we sign off?
Well, no, if you haven't signed up for the conference, sign up. It's going to be amazing. It's a great venue. We're looking to have record-breaking attendance. The education, as always. I mean, I'm probably partial because I sat on conference programming, but that group works so hard to put together an amazing conference full of content. You just can't get anywhere else. And so, um, attend. And if you can't attend those, if you've never been to a regional, start out with a regional. There's so many regionals. I think there's 15 or 16 this year, and they're a great 2-day way to meet new people and, again, get great content. So that would be, what I would say to others, and that I'm honored, and I look forward to making sure I continue to serve and lead this organization as well as all of these past chairs have.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, and we enjoy getting to know more about you and look forward to your upcoming chair year so much and everything that you will bring to CFMA. So that's it. This is my last chat with the chair, and you'll see Jennifer next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.